stepped into is also a way of showing the youth, right? And for, you're carving that path as well for us. And sure, we have already like elected officials who are from our communities and stuff, but again, it's just like it's a different, we have a different energy coming from you, and especially like someone like myself who didn't have the opportunity to grow up with the elected officials that are currently in power. Whereas to here with you, I've had projects where we've been working colleagues. And so to be able to say that I know your working ethic as well, and, just to have somebody on city council who, like, their work is already representative in the community. I don't really need you to prove anything to me. I think that's just like a whole, other aspect to this that I have not had the privilege of like experiencing before. Even though, like, again, like Monica Rodriguez, Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez, who's the councilwoman of my, where I live, I have like worked with her in the past and with her office in the past, but I don't have that personal relationship with her like I do with you, where I'm like, this is my like friend, right? Where with Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez, like I'm like, oh, I like respect you and I understand, who you are and everything, but I wouldn't say like I can go to her directly and be like, can you help me with like my kids? Whereas to you, like, we've had conversations about my kids. We've had conversations. And so I think it's just so cool. And I want to talk a little bit about your role in the San Fernando Planning Commission.
Yep.
Can you tell us what you've done there?
Yeah.
Could you say what is that, just for people that don't know?
Yeah. So San Fernando, the city council members have an opportunity to appoint folks to certain commissions. These commissions are tasked with various tasks. For example, I serve on the Planning and Preservation Commission, which oversees development, new business ordinances, support, as well as like code enforcement. So if you have someone, let's say, for example, who, I'll give you a good example of what happened this past Monday. A resident came in, gave public comment with regards to a business that they felt is not properly taking care of their customers. Unfortunately, the residents in the area have had to deal with throw up in their yard or like really disgusting things that they've they found, and so they want to be able to have those items addressed. And that's, for example, that's what planning and preservation takes care of, right? We take that public comment, we refer it to the certain department, to the particular departments, so that we can address these items. And then we'll address anything like ADUs or, if it's street maintenance, if it's tree, everything that's happening with trees, that's coming through planning and preservation. Okay. More recently, I was elected as the chair of the Planning and Preservation Commission. So it's been a great experience being in the chair role because the committee or the commission itself is represented by some great individuals. I actually one of the other candidates in the election, Ms. Sylvia Ballin, is a co-commissioner. So we happen to be working together to uplift our community in that realm. We just got a new commissioner, Mr. Diaz. My vice chair is Ms. Cecilia Martinez and Commissioner Francisco Solorio. So all of us are working together to uplift our community in ways that not anybody in the general public would really understand, right? But those that do come to us and say, for example, we don't like this housing development, we don't want this to be built, or we like this, and that's what the Planning Preservation Commission is all about. Is how are we developing our city into something that everyone can be proud about.
And that's a huge role because from my understanding, there's a lot of changes coming to San Fernando, especially with the San Fernando Downtown Masterplan. And we know that there's a lot of excitement around that. We've had a couple folks come and talk about that with us here in the studio with Valley Views. Can you tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the San Fernando Master Plan and what excites you about the downtown San Fernando Master Plan?
Yeah. Let me also plug that on November 12th, we will be having the Downtown Masterplan follow-up public comment period at the Planning and Preservation Commission at City Hall. And we'll also be bringing up, I believe, maybe the alfresco, the potential of having alfresco dining back in the city of San Fernando. These are ways that, both plans, right, will uplift our community in a way that, like, makes it feel more home. And I think that's the one thing that we need to understand is that sometimes we may not all be in agreement to, like, how we want to, uplift our community. But I think at the end of the day, that's what people want to feel, is that home feel, right? And so as a commissioner, I want to be able to do something that that our community members want, right? But they also feel like, dude, this is home. This is where I want to go. I'm going to go grab breakfast there. I'm doing lunch here, and I, Diosy has seen me at Bodevi, right? Our little go-to little coffee shop.
We love Bodevi.
Yeah, I love that place.
And I'm proud to say that the collective that owns Bodevi is supporting me because they see how much I'm willing to fight for these mom and pop shops and the small business community here in the city of San Fernando, because they understand that they need someone on council that's going to make sure that we're bringing them the resources, because they are the reason why we have the tax dollars to fund police. They are the reason why we have the tax dollars to ensure that we're paving our streets, that we have things going on in our parks. They are the reason why we have this revenue stream, right? And so the Planning Commission really, again, is that community body that allows the community to come in and say, we want to see this. This is what's happening. Our street didn't get paved right. Can you help fix it? That is what the Planning Commission does. And so as the chair, it's my goal to work with our community development director to make sure that we're answering all the needs, the requests, and everything that comes before them.
Yeah, that's super cool. And when it comes to urban planning, do we all know what urban planning is? Mel, do you want to give a little?
I mean, it's basically just like the way that we're building our built environment. So what our streets are going to look like, if there's new streets, what type of buildings are going to be, what type of zoning aspects are going to happen.
So everything that we've been talking about in the last couple of minutes. When it comes to urban planning, Sean, what does resilience mean to you when it comes to that?
That's a good question. And thinking about it, because you had given me the opportunity to kind of know what our discussions were, I could never really define it. But what I can define, to me, what the resilience of San Fernando means is that we are continuing to honor where we were, where we came from, and how we're moving forward. Right? And so that also means, right, with any development that comes in, we want to make sure that it is not outside of the character of the city of San Fernando. Right? The city of San Fernando was built on labor principles, because the city had a strong labor community and still does. Right? Many of our residents are laborers or have union jobs. And we have some union halls here in San Fernando, right? And so, but also veterans, right? There are veterans that want to see that, they can still come and feel safe to walk their streets, right? And so the resiliency of that is that we want to make sure that our police department that is right now at fully staffed, my understanding, right? With cadets in the there are officers in the training program now to fulfill the full spots that we have, with them feeling as though we're supportive of them. And I am. That is one of my pillars of because the residents have asked and have said, we want to support our officers, and we want to continue supporting our small businesses with the break-ins that have happened in recent months. If I have the opportunity to be elected, I want to be able to fund additional support efforts through our police department, to support these businesses and the resident concerns. But they do still, a lot of people do feel safe, right? And that's the biggest thing is, do you feel safe as you walk your dog at night? Do you feel safe as you're maybe just at the park and, going on a jog? And I think that's what's happening right now is we have a 50-50 mix right now. But I know that the council is currently working at addressing a lot of that. And so my hope is that if and when I'm elected, right, saying that happens in November, I'm ready to hit the ground running and let's go. And we're going to make sure that, that 50-50 actually comes to 100%.
Well, thank you so much for that. And I just want to remind everyone again that you guys are tuned into KROJ 101.5 FM. This is Radio Olin. And you're listening to Voces Unidas. Today's hosts are Diosy,
Melisa,
and Alex.
and our guest is Sean Rivas.
Hey,
We're going to be going on a quick little musical break. We'll be right back, y'all. Hey, guys. Lovely San Francisco right there. We love San Fran. The Bay.
we do love the Bay.
We love the Bay.
The other SF.
Go
Oh my
Bears.
gosh, the other SF. That's so true. Anyway, y'all. Hello.
Hello.
We're stepping into the even afternoon here this Sunday morning. You guys are tuned into Voces Unidas on KROJ 101.5 FM. Voces Unidas is produced by Valley View's SFE Media and Voces Unidas in Pacoima. Your hosts today are Diosy.
Melisa.
Alex.
We have a guest host today. His name is Alex Infinity. You guys have heard of him before. That's Valley Love. No city quite like mine. That's Valley Love.
That's Valley Love.
Hey, usually we ask you for your favorite song. I didn't ask you for your favorite song because I already knew what song I was going to put behind you because this song was perfect, especially for what's going on in your life right now. But, we talked a little bit about a lot of different aspects of the city of San Fernando and about, different folks that live here. But now I want to talk about the parks and, the recreational spaces that we have here. And you also have some experience with the Los Angeles Recreation and Parks. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, all right. Prior to Recreation and Parks, what led public service was I was at Patrick Henry Middle School with the Los Angeles League of Conservation voters, or Los Angeles League of Conservation. They have a program called Clean and Green, and that took kids my age. Right, I was in 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade at the time. To get to know a lot of our park spaces for special events, get to know community spaces and events. So that's kind of what ignited it, right? So I and I've met some of my very good friends from there. And so that led into recreation and parks. At 15, getting hired, and having that's where 21 years of public service begins.
That's where it begins.
And it's current, right? And in that space, I've helped all of our youth programs. So from sports to classes to, just community events. So one thing you could probably see that on my social media. And you'll see it where I'm dressed up as the Easter Bunny or I'm dressed up as Santa Claus. And whatever Halloween costume theme we're doing, like I have no qualms about it. Let's do it. Let's have fun. We're there for the kids, right? At the end of the day, and so that's part of what my experience is in public service and recreation and parks. And more recently, I've been at North Hollywood Recreation Center, where I've helped put together and continue with our staff, our amazing staff at North Hollywood Rec Center, to continue our youth sports programs. And continue our community events. So most of the times, because I'm so comfortable with having a mic or just connecting everybody, I will be the MC on most occasion. And so that's our Easter egg hunt, that's our Halloween bash, that's our Santa and toy giveaway, holiday shows, and so. Aside from all of that, during that time, I also stepped up into leadership with the Recreation Assistants Union, and so that taught me how to, support not just my own facility, but all park facilities.
Yeah.
And during that time, we hit the pandemic, right? I was one of a few people that the moment we were asked and said, we're going to be disaster service workers, I jumped right in. North Hollywood Recreation Center was the first recreation center to open up as a shelter for the unhoused individuals during the pandemic. I was one of a few staff that got placed in and worked, and so to start off those first few days, solid 7 days straight, 12-hour shifts to open this shelter to make sure that we were meeting the needs of the unhoused individuals during the pandemic. And I will say that it was one of the most eye-opening experiences, but it was also one of the most rewarding experiences. Until this day, we have an unhoused individual, and his name is Mike. We support him at the park. He's there. He comes around. We help him out with getting him hot water, sometimes heating up some food that he's been given. And that all started because of that, that at one point in time. And so, those little things is what has shaped me into the leader that I am, and that I continue to try to also understand that as a leader, I have to grow and develop.
Yeah.
And so, we have to take all these experiences and figure out a growth point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love like the way that you just talk about your work. It's so beautiful, and I know that we talked a bit at the beginning of the show about like your background and the connection to your mom, and all of just like the amazing strong women that are in your family and like in your community, in your village. But I don't know if there's anything like if you want to dive in more deeper into just like the worth ethic that you have, and like just always being there for community, like, decades long work within public service. Like, it's not a casual thing. Like, it's really not. And it's just so beautiful and inspiring to hear you talk about this. And I'm like, where is this coming from? Because like not everybody has the wherewithal to be able to do like the work that you've been doing for so many years.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna get a little personal right now.
Please.
So I talked about my mom's village, right, and who helped her and uplifted her, right. But I have other lived experiences. So what I don't really talk about, and I have to feel comfortable. And most of the times, it's like in this space, I feel comfortable because I've gotten to know you guys. And so, in this aspect, I am a child that has suffered also from deportation, right? And that's something that I don't share frequently. But so now this is like the biggest public announcement, and with my biological father, right? I will say that I found out, unfortunately, that he had succumbed to his own death, unfortunately, right as I was graduating high school. And I think that part of that was the fact that it was the hurt that he had, with not being able to be around like me as his son here, the relationship he had with my mom, everything. And so, although he had moved on, in Guatemala. So I am half Mexican, half Guatemalan. So I've attempted to make sure that I fully represent both cultures as best as I possibly can. But I also understand that lived experiences, if I was to say, I unfortunately, just because of the deportation, I'm going to do bad, right? That's not the best thing to do, right? I want to take that and actually do better, right? And that's actually what drives me to give back to the students that have those single parents, right? That are suffering in unfortunately the foster care system that doesn't really support. But when you see positive role models on campuses or in community spaces, that are able to provide that support effort. And so taking all those lived experiences has literally led to me saying, I don't want to be a statistic that is the negative statistic, right? I want to be that positive outcome for what has happened. And, till this day, I have now a great relationship with my dad's side of the family. Unfortunately, for many years it was not there. But I do have some great relationships now with aunts, uncles. One cousin that actually like I talk to almost frequently, Crystal. And so she's helped ground me there, right?
Yeah.
With my dad's side of the family. On my mom's side, I've always had a great relationship. My mom is one of 10. I think it's our final count was, or our current count is like 34 cousins on my mom's side. So like, having all of that and my grandmother at 93, right, still bringing us all together.
Right.
I think that's the other thing is that, even though, my mom was a single mom for many years, she had the family support and with my grandfather, with everyone else that really made sure that I didn't feel that there was a void or that, I needed something, right?
Yeah.
They always made sure. And this is what brings me back to San Fernando is I still remember the days that Granada shoes. It's where Midnight Hour is now. But Granada shoes was a spot that my grandfather would go to get his shoes. And oftentimes to the JCPenney, my grandmother, my aunts, everybody would bring me, even my mom, right? We would do that and Kmart, right? And doing like all those experiences, I still want to make sure that, I live that experience, but I want to make sure that we, like our kids also understand, like we're humbled about it. And I think that's what I try to be is the most humble person possible because I know that, we can get into positions of power and lose that.
Oh, yeah.
We lose that ability to connect with everybody. And, I don't want to be that person. I want to be that person that's really connecting to you. I think, Diosy, you alluded to it in the previous segments about how the relationships are friendships, right? We see it as a friendship, right? We no longer see it as a professional relationship. It is a personal thing because we've allowed to support one another, right?
Yeah, and to relate. I mean,
Yes.
you've given me the opportunity to relate to you one-on-one because even just through what you shared right now, like that is, I'm your mother, like I have 2 kids and, I'm the oldest daughter of 6 kids. And so like to see you speak of your mom and the way that you speak of your mom and to see the impact she's had in your life and, just you giving me that like opportunity to also feel what it feels like for my kids to see me build my village right now. And that's also something we've talked about, with like Maria, Las Comadres, this village that we're creating with Voces Unidas. But yeah, it's super exciting to hear, you put that all in perspective and for it to be like a full picture, full circle. Like Melisa said, it's really lovely to hear you speak about your work and speak about your life in the way that you do.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I think it's just the connection of like the theme that we're even going through this whole kind of third of the season is like roots and resilience. And the story that you told is like the quintessential like moment of kind of what we've been trying to do, like this whole theme kind of section. Because, everybody's trying to like, we're all trying to give back to the community, but like there's a level of like talking about it and like saying it, and then there's like the level of like you're showing up like every day. And I think also like to all the teachers out there, to all the administrators out there, to you, Sean, like it's so impactful to have a teacher or an administrator like actually like just like be with you and like ask how you're doing and like talk to you and like call like be with you and like seek you out.
Because students can tell when adults are desensitized, right? When like you remember when you were a kid and you saw your teacher like all upset in the mornings and it's like it was a hassle for them to be there, but that's their job that they chose. And like when you're a kid, you don't understand all the intricacies that go into an adult life, and that yes, like they did choose that job, but again, teachers are like treated not the best, right? And so the desensitization that happens and like all of that, like I want to ask, like, how have you, I mean, I can see through like your work outside of the school that you stay in touch with community, But have you stayed in touch with that side of yourself to make sure that you are still staying true to like your inner child and that reflecting in your work today?
Wow, that's a deep one. So I think part of it is the people I surround myself with. You know, I have a core four, right, and on top of that core four, there's additional friends, right? So, the core four are the ones that I can go to on a day-to-day basis. They're the ones that we could send in a funny GIF or like, hey, here's a little reel or something that just kind of brightens that moment, right? And then there's the other core friends that are the ones that I can, hey, let's bounce some ideas off of each other, right? And so that's what keeps me grounded. But what also supports it is that in my time in the community, in my time that I've been in education and that I've been at the Recreation and Parks Department, I've also made friends with so many people that it has allowed me to also have fun. So the one thing I think post-pandemic that came about everything for everybody, right, was, am I having fun in my job? Am I like, do I enjoy what I'm doing? I can honestly tell you, I enjoy everything that I'm doing. I enjoy my day-to-day. I'm enjoying life in general, right? And it is because of those friends. It is also because of my coworkers that, we just have this really good aura of like, hey, let's have a great time. We're here at work. Let's just have a great time. And that's basically what helps ground me. But I will say that there's so much that has also supported my efforts. In the time that I've been with Recreation and Parks, I was also elected to a neighborhood council.
Okay.
And so I've had the opportunity to also serve in a neighborhood council role. I was a founding member. I was 17, about to turn 18 when I was the founding member, elected member of Granada Hills South.
Okay.
And up until this day, and people, those that know because they were around, but it's still there. So there's a legacy piece that I want people to know. The Granada Hills Food Truck Fest that happens Friday nights off of Zelza and Chatsworth, like between Zelza and White Oak and on Chatsworth. That was something that the neighborhood council said, oh, you're in charge of outreach. Why don't you put together a community event? That was my little weird way of trying to figure out, let's do something fun. Food trucks were kind of this new thing. It was up and coming. And so I laid the foundation for what that was. And it has grown to be something that is a consistent community event every single Friday.
I love
So
that.
I'm not one to be like,
I
I did that. No. Yes, I will gladly tell you, yes, I that was my brainchild. That was something that I did, right? But, I will give credit to the community that has kept it going.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as like organizers, as like folks that are building community, like we're always building off of people that have come before us. And so like and you can never like forget that. So I feel like it's really like important to be like, yeah, like I did that, but then so many other people have made it into the thing that it is now.
And the
that's
impact that it's
beautiful.
had also in the community, right? Because like we've seen other similar spaces pop up, right? And even having here now the San Fernando night market.
Yes.
Sorry, my brain had a little brain fart. But I want to remind everybody once again, you guys are tuned in to KROJ 101.5 FM. This is Voces Unidas. Voces Unidas is usually myself, Diosy, Melisa, and Todora Reyes. But Todora today couldn't make it. We had Alex Infinity did us the favor of sitting in with us and having this interview with Sean Rivas. Alex, thank you so much for joining us today, for having this conversation with us. Of course. I mean, we love you. But, you grew up here and, closely to the City of San Fernando, neighbors. And I know that I've run into you here in the City of San Fernando so many times. Is there anything in this conversation that we've had with Sean Rivas that has sparked an interest, or maybe like you're like, oh, I want to look into that a little bit more?
Yeah. I think talking about the master plan for San Fernando downtown, like we were talking a little bit before and during the break, I think that, having third spaces for young people, we were talking earlier about, how can we help uplift young people, providing services. And I think personally, one of the big things is like having spaces for young people to go and exist, like that keep them out of, just doing
Shenanigans.
Exactly. Shenanigans, and I think that area right there has so much potential for being that, like with spaces like the Midnight Hour, or like we're talking about Bodevi. But like, I feel like me and my partner are always talking about this. There's something missing where you can just go and exist for free. You don't have to like, and I guess we have parks and that's part of it, but sometimes it gets cold. Right now it's getting cold, or it's too hot, And so like, I'm so curious about that. We're kind of talking about it, just like, what are some ways that we can have like third spaces, or like, I guess how we're talking about now with like the night markets, or like the food truck. I was gonna say, actually, I go to that one sometimes, the Granada Hills one. But what are some ways that we can like create spaces, whether it's through actual businesses or just events that young people can go to? And like,
I would say that for our generation, that's like a kind of like a community priority for us. Even like Las Comadres, Maria, who's not here today, and myself, that's kind of like one of the things that we're focusing on as well, is like, how are we taking care of our relationship with our youth and making sure that they have the space and the capacity to, get in touch with themselves. And again, like Melisa said, a lot of these spaces are, you have to spend up to 15 or sometimes even more dollars just to be able to take space there. And so I love that question, Alex. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So look, Downtown Masterplan, right? We're, like I mentioned, we're going to be discussing a lot more of it at the next planning commission. But what I can say is that in having discussions with voters at the door, what we have to remember is that San Fernando is this city that is growing, and it represents a lot of young families as well as a lot of mature families, right? And so what the young family wants is that the young families want to be able to have a movie theater in town, right? Instead of going out to Burbank, instead of going out to North Hollywood, or other community spaces, right? They want to be able to do that here. So I believe the Downtown Master Plan allows for us to look at stuff like that, right? It creates a foundation that allows us to look at various event spaces that you were talking about, right? Because what it does is it sets a strategic plan on what we want to see as a community, what projects we could consider as a city, and so ultimately, I would love to bring a movie theater. I know that was a question that someone had on the live stream a little bit ago, right? As well, was that hey, can we bring a movie theater? I would love to see that. I'd also love to see like an activity center, so something like Round One or Dave and Buster's. I'm not saying those names in particular, but it's the concepts, right, that they have. Something that we can maybe have here that maybe our teens can go to. Because ultimately, I remember, growing up, I did have that opportunity. There's, and I believe it's still there, but when I went to Kennedy, we would go down the way towards Pizza Cookery, and then there was an arcade in Granada Hills that we could go to, and then but we had other little spaces like nearby that allowed us for us. And then I had friends that lived in San Fernando, and we'd go to the House of Brews. And so House of Brews was also one of those things that was like, safe space to come to and just to hang out. That was my first experience to poetry reading and open mics. And so it was like, those are lived experiences that I don't think any of our current youth have been able to have because we don't have that yet, right? Or that infrastructure is gone right now. Right,
There's
but
some
we can
places,
bring it back.
I think.
Yeah,
And that's one thing I kind of wanted to bring up was that obviously you're running for the San Fernando City Council, but I mean, San Fernando is sandwiched right between Silmar and Pacoima.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it really, like, you're not really just, like, obviously you are representing San Fernando primarily, but, like, it's also affecting the communities outside of it. I was like, you have Diaz Chuchas, you know, right there. And so it's technically Silmar, but it's, like, right on the border, you know?
No, but see, but that's also the nice part about the folks that are supporting me. Look, I have broad community support, not just in San Fernando, but I have community support with Councilmember Rodriguez, with LA City Attorney Heidi Felting Soto, right? Those are LA figureheads that know that they can work with me to make sure that we're addressing the community in a holistic way together, right? We're not doing this as a way of, oh, that's Pacoima, that's Silmar, this is San Fernando, that's it. It's not that way. We're looking at it, addressing it as a whole. And I think that's the one way, and to me, that's the biggest way we can uplift the community as a whole.
I think also, like, what you were mentioning of, like, bringing things back into the city of San Fernando is also when you have things that are really close to, like, folks' neighborhoods and, like, folks' living areas and dwellings, you're, like, creating more of a walkable city. Like, you're able to walk to the coffee shop, you're able to walk to the movie theater, you're able to walk to, you know, the mall or whatever it is, like the shopping center. And I think that's something, like, I live in Sherman Oaks, like right off of Ventura Boulevard, kind of where, like, the closest cross street is, like, Van Nuys and Ventura Boulevard. And I feel so grateful to be living down there because it's, like, a bit of a walkable area. Like, it's definitely walkable. Like, I've walked down to the movie theater that's, like, next to the 405. And, like, I walk to my local coffee shop. I walk to the local park. And so just, like, hearing you talk about it, it also makes me think about, like, just the way of how, and maybe you could speak about this if you guys are thinking in the Planning Commission about walkable cities, like, you know, shifting the transportation mode in the San Fernando city. If you guys are thinking about, like, there's a lot of initiatives in the city of LA around metro bikes and things like that. That's kind of been, like, any thoughts around there too?
So transportation is dealt by a different commission. That's Transportation and Public Safety. So I know that they've had various discussions about, you know, just addressing the transportation concerns, trying to also address the fact that, like, you know, there's people that want to bike and they really don't feel safe on some of the, like, the corridors. And so, you know, I know that they're working on making sure that we come up with some sort of plan to help address that. But on the planning side, we hear it all from community development. So community development will present to us. But this is where I implore the public, come to our planning commission meetings. Tell us what you want, what types of projects, because ultimately that public comment is an official record, and that public comment helps shape, you know, not just the planning commission's views on things, but also helps give the council members a foundation of what the community wants to see. You can submit public comment via email, or you can go in and actually, you know, talk about it and submit public comment. And you have 3 minutes. Now, just know that if you do give public comment from the dais up top, we cannot have a dialogue with you. But your comments will be official comments for the record. And it allows us to honestly look at, and like I said, look at what our community wants. Because realistically, we need to really be representative of what the community needs are and what the community wants are. And unfortunately, I think we do have some people that don't want that. And so in order for the nays, I think, to be drowned out, the yays need to be coming and really speaking up and voicing what they want.
Yeah. Have you been hearing from any community members that have been able to come out? Or is it something that, like, maybe is a call to action right now to really get folks to come out?
So it's definitely a call to action right now.
Yeah.
Where I'm hearing it is at the door. When I'm knocking and I'm talking to people, that's where I'm hearing it the most. And I think the reality is that in order for me to be able to, you know, say, okay, November 5th comes, I hopefully a victor in one of two seats, right? Where I can start to make that happen is if so many of those voices have already started to be heard, and people are talking about it. Because the reality is too many council members, if they don't hear it, they're gonna be like, no, but maybe that's not what they want.
Yeah. And there are like community forums popping up where people are like expressing themselves, and I know that there was one recently in the city of San Fernando, or there was a couple after that incident that happened with Lindsay Horvath's reading and the library. And we had the forum at Bodevi that was more geared around the elections, but again, like, these are all spaces where community, we really need community to come out and, like, you know, take up space and share their voice. And you know, I think it's such a great idea for us to also continue fostering that. But I just remind everybody again that you guys are tuned into KROJ 101.5 FM. This is Radio Olin, and we are coming to you live from our studios here at Pueblo y Salud in the city of San Fernando. This is Voces Unidas. Voces Unidas is produced by Valley Views SFE Media and Voces Unidas in Pacoima. Today, your hosts are Diosy,
Melisa,
And Alex.
and our special ghost, our special guest of the day is Sean Rivas.
Hey.
Hey. And you guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick little break, and we'll be right back to wrap up our segment with Sean Rivas. And, you know, it's been lovely this Sunday morning. We're now officially in the Sunday afternoon, and, you know, we'll be right back, y'all. What's up, gorgeous people in this room. Hi, everyone. Hey. Happy Sunday. We are Voces Unidas. We're here in the studio of Pueblo y Salud, KRJ 101.5 FM in the city of San Fernando. You guys are tuned in with Diosy,
Melisa,
Alex Infinity.
and we're here with Sean Rivas.
Hey.
Woo woo!
Yeah, so just real quick before we get into the next subject, I wanted to ask, we were talking about public comment before the break, and just real quick, can you just let folks know again, remind them how they can go about submitting public comment, or like what's the email, or where to go?
So, all right. So any member of the public is welcome to submit public comment to either any commission on an agenda item or general public comment. That also includes city council. So city council, for example, actually has a meeting coming up on Monday. And you can send it to the city clerk, public comment on general public comment or any item that's on the agenda. I believe it has to be in before noon on any either commission days or on city council days. And so, you know, I want to encourage our community members to really speak up and speak out, right, about what you want to see, about any positions you want the council to take and consider. Because the reality is that we serve you, right? Even as a commissioner, yes, I was appointed by Mayor Celeste Rodriguez, but I'm still of service to you as a resident of the city of San Fernando. And so, you know, either email in your public comment, right? And
What's the email or to?
So it varies. So you'd have to look at
Okay.
at the particular commission emails or city clerk and
And where can they find those?
actually on the San Fernando City website. So if
Okay,
you go to
cool.
San Fernando City website, you can pull up the agenda. You'll be able to see on the agenda template there is, or on the posted agenda, there is a website or an email address that you go to and you can submit there. And then you can always come in person. You'll fill out, there's a blue card in the back when you walk into City Hall. On the back table, you'll fill one of those blue cards out, turn that into the city clerk, and you'll be allowed 3 minutes to speak for general public comment. And you know, again, this is where we will hear your voice. We will hear what you have to say, what you would like for us to consider. And even when it comes to a particular agenda item, it's the same way. We want to hear your opinions on items. And you know how you guys want us to move forward.
Thank you for sharing that, Sean. And I actually want to hear your opinion. Diosy kind of mentioned it briefly earlier regarding an incident that took place almost a year ago now at the San Fernando Library regarding the Lindsay Horvath
had.
There was a book reading that Lindsay Horvath was going to do with involving children with a drag performance, or a drag person was going to be reading. And there was some protesters who stopped the reading, and there was a lot of just a community backlash.
Yeah, and like we were talking about protecting youth and making sure that queer youth exists. Queer youth are very much here in the valley. Latinx queer youth, you know what I mean? Like, we're here, and I'm just curious, like, how do you? I don't know. You have any questions about that? Like, how do you feel about that event that took place, and how can you are you willing to guarantee like protection for queer youth, or I don't know?
So, I've talked about being someone who wants to make sure that we have safe spaces. And so, yes, my goal will be to ensure that we have safe spaces for everyone. And the one thing I love about San Fernando is how inclusive and at home we feel, right? Regardless of who you are, what you represent, anything, we still treat everyone with respect, right? That particular event was a small ripple of like not representative of San Fernando, right? That a lot of what came about from that, right, was unfortunate situations where it was outsiders that came into San Fernando, and really created that little ripple that unfortunately is a negative point in the city. Although the event itself, the Drag Time Story Hour, was not meant to create a hostile environment. It was really meant to be a positive event in literacy. And what people don't understand is, like, regardless of, it's a drag queen, it could be an author, and you're against an author. Okay, we understand that. But the foundation of that was literacy. And the foundation of that was an opportunity for kids to just be read to. That's what it was. It was not... Look, I understand you as a parent, right? I'm not a parent myself, but as a parent, you have the right to expose your child to what you see fit. And so, you have that ability to... And it's the same way with education. You have that ability as a parent to ensure that you're exposing your child to an environment that you want them exposed to, right? And I'm not anti anything like that. My goal is to make sure that you have that opportunity to expose your child to some positive things, and anything you want, right? But that event itself was not a good representation of San Fernando, and unfortunately, we still are suffering from it, right? But I think we've made some good headways now, and the police department, in these last few months have actually have announced some charges that were being filed towards individuals that did some harm.
Yeah, there was an investigation.
Yeah, and so ultimately, that was one of the things that led to kind of where we're at now, right? Like us making sure that safety protocols are in place, everything. And so that would be something that if elected on council and we have particular events like this, right, we're going to work with our law enforcement partners at SFPD. We're going to work with anybody to make sure that we're having a safe space, and it's your freedom to, be able to, be in a space that, like, if you want to, it's inclusivity. If you want to be there, you're able to be there and not be afraid or not have the fear of like, oh man, is this going to create problems? Is this going to create a protest? Is this, and so that would be my hope, is that if elected on council, right, I have that opportunity to be able to bring those open, inclusive style of events. Outdoor market does that really well, right? No matter who you are, what walk of life, you're welcome to our community, and you see like a lot of vendors, you see everything. I love to see all the dogs that are there too, because the dog is an extension of your family, right? But it also is the personality of the family, right? And the owners. And so, that is what that is what I know of San Fernando to be a welcoming, inclusive town and city. I don't know it to be what we saw for Drive Time Story Hour.
Yeah, and I think it's just so important to have like safe spaces for our queer youth, for our LGBTQ community, and continuing to just like foster spaces where folks feel safe, whatever background they have and like whatever they outwardly present as. I think it's just like always important, and like protecting our trans community is just like really like utmost like importance for sure. And I think also kind of as we move forward through this conversation, like if you do get elected to city council, like what are some of the maybe like top 3 priorities that you would have as a city council member, and like why are those important to you, and what like makes them unique to like your experience?
Yeah, so the one thing is community relations. So one of the top priorities is addressing the concern with public safety. So I do want to increase public safety funding. How does that look? That I don't know. That's where I would reach out to the community members and see how we work that out. But that could also mean that one of the concerns that has been expressed is the lack of patrols. And maybe we fund a few more patrol officers for some extra time. Maybe we are looking at hiring other community patrol aspects of for outdoor market or for other community events, allowing for that safe space to happen. But also transparency. I want to make sure that the city of San Fernando has been really good. Erica Milton and the budget staff, right, have been really good about having these dialogues with your city tax dollars, right, and where it's gone. I want to continue to increase the transparency in what we're doing. So if that includes, let's say a resurfacing project that has now spent a few more dollars than was anticipated, we want to let you know why, right? We should let you know why, because that's tax dollars at its best, right, and in use. And so aside from that, I also want to make sure that, and this is the premise of my day-to-day, is supporting our families. So I want to make sure that we have the continued resources. So if a family unfortunately becomes unhoused, or if a family comes into some struggling times, maybe they can't afford rent at this time. But I feel like as council, we are here to uplift, and I feel like we could possibly look at ways to, do renters assistance programs, or many of the current homeowners have talked about wanting help from the city to also be more, I guess, how to put it, it's more understanding of our environment, right? So that also includes like changing our plants in our front yards, and so being more drought tolerant, and so we have to look at those things. And so that's where I'm talking about family resources. Is I want to be able to make sure that we invest those tax dollars back also into our community, because as we see that investment, we're going to see it come back twofold, threefold, sometimes fourfold on over. And so I want to be able to make sure that as a council member, we're doing that, and we're setting priorities to uplift our community. And so, I do know that, again, with the election, we do have, and I want to remind folks, we do have 2 mail drop locations. So we have one at Pioneer Park and one in front of City Hall. You guys, those are open already. You will have locations at Las Palmas Park to vote. You'll also have, I believe, at Rec Park will also be another vote location, and I believe Mission City Church. Those are some of the locations that I know that are within San Fernando that will be polling sites and current ways to drop off. So, folks, you're welcome to. Everybody's received their vote by mail ballot. You're welcome to already drop that in the mail as well, or drop it at one of the drop-off spots. You could also hold on to your ballot and drop it off at a polling site once they open. Or you can turn in your ballot and actually use the machines and vote that way. If you're someone who likes to do that traditionally. I personally have cast my vote already because I'm a permanent vote by mail voter. But I will say that I'm hoping that the residents of the city really ensure that we're continuing that forward progress. And this is why, I thank you guys for the opportunity to, one, come and get to know me, because you guys have had the opportunity to get to know me on a personal level, but and outside of this, but also you've allowed this space where folks who maybe, don't know who I am or wanted to get to know, had the opportunity to hear me out tonight or this morning. And so, again, thank you guys for that opportunity.
Of course, Sean. Thank you so much for always being such a positive force in the community as well. We had a lot of fun getting to know you on air, and getting to know a little bit of, the work that you do, things that we didn't know, as well, because I definitely got to know you a little bit better, this segment. But again, I want to remind everybody that voting is November 5th. And so if you guys do want to vote, you guys now know where you guys can go ahead and drop off your ballots this November 5th here in the city of San Fernando. And I just want to remind everybody that we will be on air tomorrow with Las Comadres. Comadre Maria and myself, Diosy, will be here from 7 to 9 p.m. And our guest tomorrow will be Classroom of Compassion. Oh. So I'm really excited to speak with them. We're coming into the Dia de los Muertos celebrations, and coming into the end of the year, where a lot of folks are, going through the losses that we felt, just a couple of years ago during COVID, and they were a part of my life during that time when I lost my father, and they helped us a lot. My family and myself, they helped us a lot. So really excited for that conversation to take place tomorrow. The next time that you guys can see or hear the Voces Unidas crew with Teodora will be back with us will be Monday, October 28th. And so I'm not sure who our guest is that day, but
Sylvia is going to come on. She's the director of research of Latino policy and law at UCLA. So that'll be a really fun conversation. We're going to be talking about climate change. We're going to be talking about, I think, Prop 4 it is on our ballot. And we're going to be just talking about some really cool research that her and her colleague have been doing throughout the years at UCLA.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that, Melissa. Yeah. Alex, want to give you last couple words?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, for letting me be part of this conversation.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Alex will be here a lot more.
Come on anytime.
Thank you. Go stream my album. I got new stuff coming soon, and continue supporting Valley Views, Voces Unidas.
Where can folks find you?
I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, everything. Alex Infinity on Instagram, VLXU.
Awesome. And Sean, please plug in how folks can get a hold of you outside of this election.
Yeah. So Instagram is Sean M. Rivas. So it's my first name, Sean, M for my middle initial, and then Rivas, Rivas. And you can literally send me a message there. It's my IG. Same thing would go with Facebook. Twitter, I don't utilize as much, or X, right? I don't utilize as much, but I do try to keep some of the feeds there, but it's the same thing, Sean M. Rivas. I've kept it simple, so there you go. You can always reach out, and please, in this election, there's no question that I won't answer. So you can always send me a private message, a direct message there in private, and we can make sure that to answer your question. And then if I'm at your door, definitely say hi. I'm not a stranger. I definitely feel more a part of this community in this election. So thank you again for this opportunity, and I just look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, we love you, Sean. Best of luck. Again, this is Voces Unidas. Voces Unidas is produced by Valley Views SFV Media and Voces Unidas in Pacoima. We're coming to you live from Radio Olin, KROJ 101.5 FM, from the studios at Pueblo y Salud in the city of San Fernando. Signing off, these are your hosts, Diosy,
Melissa,
Alex Infinity.
Bye, Sean.
Bye.
Bye everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.